I do have to say this. We yesterday had a tremendous day in Texas. We opened a Louis Vuitton plant.
Go.
I'm done. I'm done. The dogs were running crazy. I will say that I ate some good chitlins the other day. It's called a pivot. It's called a pivot.
He's the worst.
And you know they're gonna pivot all the time. This was a quid quo.
So Mulvaney got up there and straight confessed.
Yeah,
That's what we
did.
call a confession.
Yeah,
he
he
described it and then was like, oh no, that's not what it is, even though it was the definition. Shout out to that reporter for being like, so you know that is what a quid pro quo is.
Quid pro quo.
So that we could all get
day
that out.
long.
And Mulvaney, he is so lucky that he made this mistake so close to the impeachment.
Right.
Because any other time he would have been gone.
Oh yeah.
But because he's so close, he got to stick around.
Yeah, he's got to stick around.
Two huge mistakes that day.
Absolutely.
He confessed,
Yeah.
and then he let's use
my
golf resort for the G7 summit of finalized locations. And it was by far and large. What are you talking about?
He didn't sign up for this nonsense, I don't think, into it.
I think he knows more. I think they were saying he might have been on that call, he might know all of this stuff.
Oh, he's the chief of staff. The chief of staff is going to be in the room.
Yeah.
Okay, make no question about it. Chief of staff is absolutely going to be in the room. He's going to hear all the calls that take place. Nothing moves at that magnitude without the chief of staff.
Passing by his nose?
Without chief of staff being in the room. I don't care what it is. If you have spent any time in Washington, D.C., if you spend any time in any state capital, particularly California, when you have the governor and or the president and you have the Speaker of the House, or when major decisions are made, their chief of staffs are always there. Or any leader, their chief of staff is always there because the chief of staff is the one that's going to actually execute the plan. So he knows exactly what the hell is going on in there.
He knows where all the bodies are buried.
He knows where all the bodies are buried, and that's why they are not allowing him to testify and be subpoenaed.
We got to get him fired. So we can get his honest
Don't worry,
testimony.
everybody only stays with Trump about a month anyway.
Right? His time is almost up.
Yeah, they only stay with him about a month. He's gonna be out of here in short order. Trust me. Let's move on.
Well, Nora, Hillary Clinton did not mention Tulsi Gabbard by name, but an aide confirms that that's who she was talking about when she made this stunning claim that the Russians had already hit on a way to meddle in the 2020 election, much in the same way they meddled in her election in 2016. On a podcast interview, Clinton said, quote, they're grooming her to be the third-party candidate. She's the favorite of the Russians. They have a bunch of sites and bots and other ways of supporting her so far. Clinton was referring to the fact that the Hawaii Congresswoman gets a lot of attention from Kremlin-linked media, just as Green Party candidate Jill Stein did back in 2016. This afternoon, Gabbard lashed back, accusing Clinton of trying to destroy her reputation and calling Clinton, quote, the queen of warmongers, embodiment of corruption, and personification of the rot that has sickened the Democratic Party for so long. For now, most other Democrats are staying.
I don't know if we need to go there where we are starting to point fingers at each other. These are two women.
You don't know. Was Hillary a good person on that side of the fence? She's tripping. Hillary done lost all her marbles. Okay, you heard it here first. She's been virtually silent this entire time since her candidacy. She's gonna come out and bash her own people. What sense does this make?
That doesn't make any sense.
This don't make any sense. And to say oh, you know what I mean, she's a favorite of the Russians, that's one thing, because the Russians like her.
Right.
There's evidence of that. But she's not, really telling an honest story by saying that. She's acting like she's an asset and that she's working with the Russians. That's what was happening with Cho's situation with Trump. Don't spread that to your own party.
That's right.
She's tripping.
Yeah, I'm a little, I like Hillary Clinton and I like Bill Clinton, President Bill Clinton and Secretary Clinton. I was a surrogate for Secretary Clinton during the campaign, and I gotta tell you, I'm really taken aback by these latest comments that she's spewing around this country about Russia supporting one of our own. That is just what do they have this? What's going? Is there this hatred they have for each other that I don't know about? I mean,
Oh yeah,
it seems
it's
like
all
there's
to
a
do
backdoor
it's personal
story.
and it's all to do with Bernie. But she got to be careful. I mean, this is a veteran. This is a woman of color. This is a member of her
Yeah.
own party. Like it's a bad look for her. It doesn't look supportive in any way. And even if you really felt that way, I don't know that now. I don't know.
So
is
did
now
Tulsi
the time?
support Bernie, and that's why she's pissed off about it?
Yeah,
Is
there
it-
was some incident where there was a switch from her supporting Clinton to supporting Bernie. So, there's some beef there, but man, her supporters the same people that want Bernie to get over everything.
Yeah, but
she can't
Tulsi
be
is-
doing that. Like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, don't bring up old stuff and make it personal and start getting real messy and start throwing out things that don't have nothing to do with it. I don't know.
Throwing
She
dirt out.
just dirt, but not real dirt.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
right.
If it was like, yo, I know about her meeting with some Russians, or she's been in the pocket, or
Right.
something, like give us something. But
Conspiracy
just
theorist.
Yeah, and she was a victim of multiple conspiracy
Right,
theories. You would think
right.
that she would be careful with that because of that.
Well, Tulsi is not going to win anyway. So why is she picking her of all people? It's not
It's
like she's
personal,
It's not like she's making a dent.
Right.
What she's doing is actually giving her more notoriety. Is what she's doing, making her more of a potential contender. But Tulsi's not going anywhere. She's going to be packing up, going home in a minute.
Yeah, I don't know.
She's going to have a chance to win as president of the United States of America. So why is she even concerned about that?
I don't know, but also she's a young woman, so if she stays in politics, like that's going to be somebody you're going to have to deal with, Hillary. Like,
For
what are you even
the rest of her
what are you
life.
even doing? I don't think she wants that smoke, honestly.
No.
I don't think she does. She pretended she does.
Hey, I know
talking
that's right.
real
Hey.
spicy on people's podcasts,
Hey.
but she don't want it.
With the hot sauce in the purse.
That's pandering at its best, right there.
You're listening to the Intersection Live. We're on the ZoWhat YouTube station as well, and we are broadcasting right from Vibe Free TV, right here in the great city of Inglewood.
The firefight exploded on the streets in the city of Culiacan. Mexican military outgunned by a drug cartel with young families caught in the crossfire. Just before the bloodshed spilled into the streets, Mexican commandos stormed a home, cornering Ovidio Guzman Lopez, the son of notorious drug lord El Chapo. But the 28-year-old, one of the heirs of the feared Sinaloa cartel, would soon be released. As authorities took on a relentless counterattack resembling a war zone, cartel members in black masks fired machine guns onto the streets. People running for cover as vehicles erupted in flames. Dozens of inmates escaping in the chaos, forcing Mexican security forces to retreat. Mexico's president...
Man, I mean, that stuff is serious over there, huh?
Man. Okay, so El Chapo's arrest didn't weaken the Sinaloa cartel at all. He's got like four sons.
Yeah.
And, he's El Chapo, so they're Los Chapitos. And they are clearly running things. I mean, they took on, that was the Mexican Army, that was state police, and the Mexican National Guard. All three of them lost to the Sinaloa cartel within hours, too.
Right.
And what they thought they got him, it was supposedly done by some lower level officials or whatever who didn't really get clearance, know what they were doing. Like, I don't know who thinks they're gonna like take on the cartel just with no backup, but that's what they did. And they quickly found out after the threat of civilian lives were put at high risk with all these buses, burning buses and cars were put at the end of streets, so could nobody leave, get out or whatever. So they basically had to give him back. They had to return that El Chapito to his people because they didn't want to lose any lives. And it's a major embarrassment to the entire government
Of course it
Mexico.
is.
And now they're already making songs about Homeboy and how awesome he is for having, not been captured or captured and released.
Well, come on, though. I mean, let's be real about this situation, right? I mean, everybody knows the El Chapo name down there rings God, right? Everyone knows that. I mean, here's a guy that had an elevator, or what do you call it? Not an elevator.
Tunnel?
The underground. Yeah, a train, an elevator down and a train. That was a rigged elevator and a train underground that he escaped from prison on. I mean, and who you think? The government didn't know that they were building an infrastructure under the prison that went for miles, and that he just got away like that? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, they have serious corruption issues. So I'm wondering if, like that group who thought, okay, let's get him, thought maybe we shouldn't tell anybody above us because then homeboy might get the word. You know what I mean? That there might be some trickle down effect or something like that. But they didn't go in there with enough firepower, basically.
No, they didn't.
And it wasn't a plan, and I don't know why they thought that they were weak right now. For, like, what made them think it was a good time to attack? Because it seems like they beefing up security. Like, Dad is gone. It's our job now. Like, we about to run things. I mean, they're not as nice. So.
So the El Chapo family still reign, huh?
Oh yeah, the Sinaloa cartel is their cartel. I mean, there's other individuals who are a part of the cartel, and all this is documented on shows and movies and all kinds of stuff.
Well, El Chapo is still probably running it from prison, I'm sure. Anyway,
that too.
It's not gone. It's still alive and well, I'm quite sure, and that's why you saw what you saw, this public outrage,
It's horrible.
This horrible display of our public safety, or their public safety, in the middle of streets being taken down by a cartel unprepared.
Yeah.
Terrible. It's terrible. But that's what it is, and that's why they said they're putting El Chapo in a prison where I think he has what they call triple security. So he has to go through one bank to another, to another, to another. Yeah,
they need to put him in like a, I don't know, Magneto superhero cage. He's never gonna stop trying to get out. He's never gonna stop trying to get out. It's what it is. They're gonna always have to watch. He's gonna be 99 trying to get out.
They're gonna have to watch him and watch those around him too.
That too.
Hello. Even those are protecting us.
You know how them guards act sometimes.
Did you hear what I just said? You hear what I just said? All right, let's move on.
Do you have white teenage sons? Listen up.
Joanna Schroeder has a message to moms just like her of teen and tween boys. Pay attention to your children's online gaming or social media, because even if you aren't, white supremacists are.
Everywhere from the alt-right, which is kind of a more comfortable way of saying not quite a Nazi, to true neo-Nazis. They've studied the way that our young men interact online, and they have looked at what these boys need, and they have learned how to fill those needs in order to entice them into propaganda.
As a writer of online content, she was surprised when she heard some of the coded language she was often confronted with coming out of her own sons' mouths. What are some of the warning phrases or words?
The first word I heard was triggered, and this is a tough one because you'll hear this from your.
That's what it is. They're teaching it. They're teaching it in their homes. Racism. You know, why are you surprised when you're hearing words come out of your kids' mouths that does not become that of a honest citizen in America?
She's not teaching it at home. What are you talking about?
She's
not teaching. You think this woman who came forward and said, everybody watch out, white supremacists is coming for your white kids, is teaching her kid to be racist at home? This is a different type of situation, because this is about radicalization of young white men, and we already know that white men are a problem when it comes to domestic terrorism, whether the president tells you that so or not. So this is a huge thing, because we're used to white supremacy getting like grown in places where people are downtrodden and where they're feeling left behind, and a bunch of those people elected this current president because they felt like nobody was paying attention to him and somebody was listening to them. This is a different situation, because these are just teenagers who, you know, if they got the internet and access to the internet and phones and computers, they're probably okay. You know, they're well off enough, they got a family, but they are in a space where these people are trying to normalize racism and homophobia and sexism with humor and things like that. So a funny, you know, man, this movie Jojo Rabbit that's coming out, which is like some, I'm not even looking into it enough to really know what it's about, but it's just a cute little story about some kid who loves Hitler and, you know, like some situation like that, which I think is just more normalizing of some BS. And that's what I feel like is going on with these kids. They're just trying to normalize things, make things funny and cute, and it's not so offensive. When, no, people die over these things. It's what a lot of those people who was in those polos and, you know, with their little pitchforks or, what are they called? Little fire things?
The devil's fork. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but they had the fire when they were wearing their hats, their MAGA hats, and
yeah.
they had the polos and the khakis on, and they were doing that.
Gorgeous.
Those people who was doing that because they thought it was fun. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's going to rile people up type of situation, not because they really feel that way. They're trying to, like, normalize the whole thing to institutionalize racism in a different way, where it's like, get over everything, and nothing's going on.
It's not a big problem.
Everybody's too sensitive.
Right.
And that's a different situation than like the normal, what we're used to, hatred coming out because somebody's looking for a scapegoat.
Right.
And it's dangerous. And I think she's right to warn other white mothers.
Well, she is right to warn other white mothers. But you gotta also, but in addition to, you also gotta ask yourself the question, because I just don't believe that all these kids, young kids, are picking up this racist mindset without some type of influence. I know internet, social media, all that, it influences these young kids right now. But I also believe that some of these kids are being influenced by what the parents are saying in the home as well. Maybe not in large numbers, but I do believe that some of these parents, they've influenced these kids, and they have pretty much deposited racist thoughts in their minds. Maybe not at the magnitude, that would suggest them to go out and kill people, but they've deposited that perspective in their mind, and the kids just took it and ran with it.
Yeah, I think most racism is made the way you're talking about, that you learn it from what you hear and see. And she's talking about, I don't teach my kids like that, but they're getting it from somewhere else.
Well, they have friends.
Yeah. And
they go into the homes of friends whose parents are, and they're picking up the thoughts and perspective like that and off the internet, to your point, and she probably needs to watch who her kids hang with. She probably needs to watch what her kid is watching on television. And watching looking on the internet and social media and all that stuff. How do you do that? You can't. But you can't, But the reality is that, man, these kids, this real. I mean, you've got 13, 14-year-old kids that are plotting right now. Where in the hell does that come from? Where does that come from, Nicki? 13, 14-year-old kids plotting to cause harm, bodily harm, on minorities in America. I don't understand where that comes from. I don't understand where that comes from. But it's real. And it's happening right here in the homeland. In fact, I believe it was the FBI, they said they're having more cases of teens that are trying to plot harm against people and the government right now. And it's horrible. Mm-hmm. So I'm happy that she did come out. I hope other parents will come out. But it's not a good thing. It's bad. And if we don't address it now, if we let this thing fester, it's going to be out of control. We won't be able to control it. That's just the reality of where we are right now. Mm-hmm. We got to fix it. Let's move on.
Is Felicity Huffman getting special treatment in prison? That's what people are asking after seeing these images of Huffman exiting the prison facility and walking freely through the penitentiary parking lot. Dressed in a prison green jumpsuit and white baseball cap, Huffman is on her way to meet husband William H. Macy and their daughter, believed to be Georgia. According to Abby Lee Miller of Dance Moms fame, who served 8 months in federal prison for bankruptcy fraud, inmates are never allowed family visits this early into serving their sentence.
It took me up to 90 days to get people approved to come and visit. There's a huge application form that has to be filled out. There's a big background check that's done.
What she's going through, the way they're treating her, smacks of special privilege.
Prison consultant and former inmate Larry Levine agrees there is no way Huffman would have already...
It's just white privilege. Come on.
Yeah, privilege continues.
Jesus Christ.
What did y'all think was going to happen? She got 2 weeks. She got 2 weeks.
I mean, come on, man. It's just white privilege.
Come on. When they sent Lindsay Lohan to prison, she was crying, and that was it. You know what I mean? Like, she's crying at night. They're yelling at me.
She was
like,
right down the street.
Get out of here. First of all, she's in Dublin, which is up in the Bay, and it's just a small, nice little town, a low security prison, 2 weeks. Like, she was already set up for a gravy train of a trip. Like, nobody should be looking for her to be having some hardships. Like,
Yeah.
her having to go to jail is the whole hardship for her.
She's eating steak dinners in jail.
Yeah, she's eating steak dinners. She calling everybody.
Right.
She didn't go through no process to
No,
get nobody approved.
no,
She went in
no.
on Tuesday. They was there on Saturday to
That's
see
right.
her. So get out of here with all of
That's
that.
right.
Walking through the damn parking lot without no guards. Not a dog chasing her, not a nobody in a tower with a rifle trained on her. She's good. She gonna be all right. And
Yeah.
what did anybody expect?
No, I mean, it's white privilege at its best. The same privilege that she used to get her kids and her daughter
Yep.
in college, the same privilege that's been exacted on her right now.
Yep. And also,
Period.
prisons are for profit and they're privately owned. So,
Right. Well, there's
you know,
that.
she's got money, so she can pay for the privilege,
Right.
even if they
Right.
wasn't trying to give it to her.
Right. Well, she was born into privilege now.
That's
She don't have to be given anything. She was born in privilege. Have you seen how she looks? She was born in privilege. She can't wipe that off, my friend. Let me see if I can wipe this privilege off.
Nope.
You can't wipe that off. You can't even wipe it on you.
Nope.
Oh, God. All right, let's move on.
Jeremy, Kelly Renee Turner is being held here at the Douglas County Detention Center after a year-long investigation by Douglas County deputies. The sheriff saying this was an extremely emotional case. Now, you may remember Olivia Gant. She captured the hearts of many in her short 7 years of life. She was police chief for a day, firefighter for a day, among other bucket list items. Her mother telling everyone Olivia was terminally ill. She passed away in 2017, but only now did we find out she was not terminally ill, and her mother is accused of killing her. According to the indictment, Turner lied to numerous doctors and was having Olivia treated for conditions that did not exist. This all came to light a year after Olivia's death, as Turner was seeking treatment for her 12-year-old daughter, who she claimed was diagnosed with cancer years earlier. The indictment says, quote, the new primary care doctor became suspicious about this and confirmed with hospitals and doctors in Texas that she never had cancer and never had treatment. This caused
there's this movie I watched. I wish I had it on my mind. But there was this movie that I watched about this girl who was in a similar situation, and the mother was getting government services saying that she was terminally ill and all these problems, and the girl was not terminally ill. In fact, the girl ended up killing her mother on the movie because after she
That was a true story.
that was a true story, right? Yeah, it is the same situation. Why would any parent want to subject their child to that kind of torture?
I mean, clearly, this woman is a psychopath.
Right.
Or, whatever the term is. I'm not a doctor. Let me not diagnose her. But she's evil. I can diagnose her with that. Munchausen by proxy, which is you making your child sick, what she was doing to her child for apparently her whole life.
Yeah.
She only made it to 7 years old, and that's with whatever poisoning or however we don't know how she was making her sick, but she was doing something to her, most likely slowly poisoning her, because that's how most people do this horrible act. And she wasn't terminally ill, and she didn't have to die like that. The only saving grace is that she don't have to be in that woman's care anymore, and it's horrible. It's horrible that death is a release for her from this woman, and that there are other children apparently who were her 12-year-old daughter. She was saying had cancer. This is horrible.
Yeah.
Just to get money, she had a GoFundMe account. She got all these Make-A-Wish foundations, which I'm glad that the little girl was able to enjoy that, because she was being made sick, even though she wasn't terminally ill. She was sick. But this is horrible, and this woman needs to go down for that. She got 13 counts, one of those being murder, and
man,
she deserves all that she's got coming.
Yeah, and I hope she goes down in hell too, because God has a special place in hell for people like that.
Special place.
Let's move on.
Nicki Minaj is officially a married woman. She has married her high school sweetheart, Ken Petty. Nicki Minaj took to Instagram to post a video of a bunch of bride and groom swag that she got, along with a caption that says 10/21/19, which seems to be the date that they officially tied the knot. Of course, they had gotten a marriage license back in June, but they hadn't filed it yet. So congratulations to Mrs. Petty, as she's now known to you. That's right, she's taking Ken's last name.
That's petty.
She petty.
That's petty.
Nicki Petty.
I can see the memes and all that stuff coming out. Damn. Jesus. I mean, who am I to question someone's marriage? But Nicki, come on. I mean, do I need to go there?
Where you going?
I mean, can you really take Nicki Minaj seriously? I mean, serious? Can you really take her serious?
What do you mean?
Nicki goes in and out of relationships all the time. I mean, now she's saying she's married, and now she isn't. She was getting married. And
Don't try and make her sound like she be in and out of relationships all the time. I don't even like Nicki Minaj. She don't be in and out of relationships. She was with Safari for hella years, and then she was with like Meek, and then she's with him. There's 3 that we know of, like as a collective.
No, it's more than that.
No.
You don't know, Nicki.
I know all that kind of stuff. I have great capacity for nonsense. I think this is great, though. She's been teasing and, I'm going to retire. Like, retire already, please.
She's not going to retire.
She needs to. She needs to retire. She needs to recollect herself.
She's too young to retire.
She needs to retire right now and take a break and go start a family and then have a comeback, because then people will like her again.
She'll be too old. Nobody's going to want to see all that.
No, not true. Not true.
You think, honestly, she should retire?
I don't know what the average age of female rappers you think is. It's not as low as men. They're adults. Most of them are like adults. So like her coming back after a baby, it's doable. Plus, nobody really is checking for her right now. So she needs to do something in her life personally to make people want to look at her. And her having a baby would have her social media popping again. Like, oh, snap. She got a baby Petty. Let's see
Baby
it.
Petty?
Like all of that. And she got married but didn't have a wedding, so she can bankroll that. They can make that a thing. They can make a whole special about that if they want to do that. She can have a reality show. She's gonna do something to like revamp her career, is what I'm smelling. I think this is just the start of it.
I think there's still a lot left in Nicki Minaj to be great, and I do not want to see her retire. I think she's a talented African-American woman. I think there's a lot still in her. I think she still offers a lot. She got a little tangled up a little bit, reputation-wise a little bit. But I think there's a lot in her. I think her life is still full right now.
Yeah, her life is full. I don't know. Nobody's telling her to go die.
But you're saying go retire?
Because she needs to take a break. See, listen, all the other female rappers that are coming on the scene are collaborative.
Right.
Nicki was the best because she didn't have nobody to test her. When all these women came on the scene, she didn't open her arms and be like, I'm y'all OG, come to me and we gonna make songs together. They all did that without her, and now she's on the outs.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. She needs to go away and come back. She's got to reset, recalibrate. She needs to open up her mind to collaboration and being more friendly and working with her sisters in the industry, because she's not doing that. But yes, she's a talented black woman and she should keep going.
I'm not going to fight you on your sister power that you've got going on. I'm going to support you in your belief, and because I know my lane, and that part. I don't want to get out of my lane there. Let's move on.
The ingredients are a recipe for disaster. A gunman, a school hallway, and students fleeing for their lives.
Possibly going to be an active shooter now at Park Rose High School. Need more cars.
Except this story doesn't end in tragedy. It ends with a heartfelt hug.
Obviously, he broke down, and I just wanted to let him know that I was there for him.
In May, then 18-year-old Angel Granados Diaz brought a shotgun to his Oregon high school, concealed under a garment bag. Minutes later, sports coach Keenan Lowe, also a security guard, went to check on Granados Diaz, not knowing that he was armed.
In a fraction of a second, I analyzed everything really fast, looked in his eyes, looked at the gun.
Prosecutors say the student tried to discharge the weapon on himself, handing the shotgun to a teacher, and then this hug that seemed to go on for minutes, the boy tightening his arms, and the coach his resolve. Tonight.
He's a hero.
Some good news.
Right? He's a hero. He's a hero, and I'm quite sure there's so many other heroes like that we just have not heard from.
Yeah.
Right? But indeed, he's a hero. He saved someone's life. And I mean, you never know. A guy could have done a massive shootout there on campus. He could have just popped himself, quite honestly. I do know one life was saved, and potentially dozens of other lives were saved because of that coach. So kudos to him. I hope he's recognized somehow in his community and given the praise that he needs, because indeed he really saved a life, if not multiple lives.
Mm-hmm. And that's how you de-escalate a
Right.
situation.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
he was worried there was a threat, a physical threat to everybody in the vicinity.
Right.
Handled that and then took care of the kid who clearly was in need. It wasn't like no time to, treat him harshly, basically. Wasn't what he needed and could have taken him down, the path that he was already on and made him feel even worse. So really, really amazing that he was able to show that boy compassion in that moment and care for him. You know what I mean?
Right.
He needed that.
Right.
And I'm glad. And he was there with him until the police arrived and stayed with that boy. So that was really nice. So yeah, he deserves a lot for that, for sure.
Do you think the guy's going to get some treatment? Do you think they'll be able to provide him with some type of mental health treatment? Because that's mental illness right there.
Mm-hmm.
That is mental illness. You could tell the guy was struggling with something. I don't know what it was. Perhaps he's just disgruntled with his life. I don't know. It's amazing, though, how our young kids right now are struggling with what they're dealing with in their life is monumental. It's huge, because that's all they have, right? And so it's huge. Me as an adult looking at it, I'm like, oh, that's just a small little thing, that doesn't really, but in their life, that is huge.
Yeah, people forget that sometimes.
Yeah,
Adults
they do.
sometimes forget that. Like, why are you tripping? Log off the computer if they're bullying
it's
you.
Right,
Like,
it's real.
Okay, that's
all
your whole
they
life.
have. That's their whole life. And for someone to gather themselves to a point where they say, I'm going to off myself or off the students in my class, my peers, that's a lot. That's a lot. And so, I just think it is important that we, as exemplars in the community, continue to watch and be gentle, with our teens as they're growing up, because you never know what they're going through and how they're processing what they're going through. Understand and listen to what they're saying, because oftentimes, if we listen to them, they'll tell us what street they're parked on. You know what I mean? They'll tell us what's going on with them if we just listen to them.
Right.
We can see signs of change or whatnot. If we just pay attention and listen, we'll see exactly, because it just doesn't happen overnight. You'll see the transition. You'll see the transition. So I just pray that this guy is getting some help, and I encourage other parents to just pay attention to their kids.
Yeah. Check on your good kids too.
Yeah, check on your good ones too. Right. Make sure they're checked in. All right. So, all right, let's move on.
Good afternoon to everyone. One of my responsibilities as police chief is to decide the appropriate level of discipline on incidents of misconduct involving Phoenix Police Department employees. No chief ever wants to discuss discipline like this in a public format. I expect my officers to be respectful, to be professional, to be courteous, and that is not what happened in the cases we will discuss today. The first incident I would like to provide an update on involves the arrest of 2 individuals as a part of a shoplifting investigation which occurred on May 27, 2019. Both officers involved in this case were sent to the Disciplinary Review Board, or what we call the DRB. The DRB is chaired by one of the department's assistant police chiefs, with 6 additional members, including 2 peer officers, 2 civilian community members, and 2 police commanders. One of the officers...
We're running out of time, but let me just say this. Kudos to this police chief, African, who happens to be African-American. Okay, police chief who happens to be African-American. Police chief doing the right thing who happens to be African-American. For holding accountable her crew, right, for negligence. And we need more police chiefs like that, willing to take a stand and to hold their department accountable for nonsense. I think if we did that, you would see a community beginning to support law enforcement across the country, right?
It's the main piece that's
Right.
missing in the community to law enforcement connection is people feeling like they can't trust you
Right.
when you mess up. The same thing that's going on with the Republican Party.
Right.
You need
Right.
to be able to take
Right.
care of your own. If you know you're messing up, but it's
Right.
against your own principles,
Right.
supposedly,
Right.
then why aren't you calling that out?
Right.
Like, why does it have to be an outside? And, they close ranks too easy when it comes to anything anybody's done. Let's make
Right.
sure,
Right.
figure out a way to make it okay. Like, we're tired of that.
Yeah.
We want you to want to protect us as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what happened with this family was horrible. That was barbaric.
It was.
They were yanking people all around. They
horrible.
were yanking babies around. We have a pregnant woman. They're asking her to put her
Screaming and
baby who
hollering.
can't walk on
Right,
hot pavement.
right,
She had to hand them to a random family was
Yeah.
watching because there were screams and commotion. And ran over there to take the baby from her. She had to hand her baby to a stranger who she had
Abducted.
never seen before because that was better than
Right.
the authorities having
Right.
her child.
Right.
It was ridiculous and all for nothing. Charges were dropped.
Well, they didn't do anything, though.
They let
They
them
didn't do
go?
anything. Yeah.
It was just a mess. So
It was all for nothing.
There
for
was
nothing.
2 officers, and I hope that other officer is next. But
Well,
my other officer,
Apparently, I saw the news state clip today where they said another officer's going to be disciplined.
oh, okay. Well, I know Meyer is gone.
Yeah,
He
Meyer-
ain't no officer.
Right.
Bye. It'll be Sour Lemon Meyer.
Right. Yeah, the other officer's supposed to be disciplined today. We'll see how that pans out. So, hey guys, that concludes our show today. Thanks for tuning in to The Intersection. I'm Senator Isidore Hall.
And I'm Nikki Flores.
We'll see you this time, same time, next time, right here. Be nice to people. Make sure you follow us on The Intersection Live on YouTube. God bless. Thanks, Zoe. Sign out.